What we'll do is I thought we would talk about, this FloGrappling. They have this WNO event that they've been doing.
Who's number one?
Yeah, who's number one? And there's they got a bunch of matches. Good. Dude, this is going to be an amazing event. They got a bunch of high level guys. And we'll talk about a few of those today. We'll talk about there's a matchup between Nicky Ryan and Tony Ramos. And then there's also a matchup between Paulo Miyao and Gio Martinez.
Right. I think that for sake of the podcast and because we might be going back and forth from, talking about Paulo and Yao, the way that their name sounds like Paulo Miyao and Yao Miyao. If we can just, agree to call one J Miyao and P Miyao.
Okay. Yeah.
Just make it a little
so they're brothers. There's Jiao,
right.
Meow.
So now you see where I'm going.
And there's Paulo Meow.
Yeah.
Or we could just say Paulo and Jiao.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Lay out the little groundwork there.
I just feel ridiculous when I say it.
Dude, those brothers, they're like, I don't know. They are so interesting characters.
Let's just say it. I mean, they're clearly on the spectrum. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I mean, that's what the podcast is about. I mean, they're on the spectrum.
There's
nothing wrong with that.
They're just like creatures.
Yes.
They're like so flexible, and then like if you ever are around them, they're like constantly just like moving. They can't sit still. They're interesting characters, and they're both like ridiculously good at jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely.
Do you know I grappled? I competed against Paulo Miyao in 2016 at the 80cc. It was like what is it called? 80cc Pro or something like that down in LA.
I did not know that. No.
Yeah. So here's how that went down. First of all, he beat me on points, right? But it's this tournament, and it's 80cc rules, right? And it was down in, I think, Anaheim or something, and it was I was in the black belt division. And this was my first ever, black belt tournament that I ever done. And I grappled, the first guy that I grappled, he's from Mexico. He's a really, really good black belt. And I had a kind of a tough match with him, right? And it was very physical, very like using a lot of strength. I probably used way too much strength, but I beat him on points, right? So I advanced. And then Paulo had a bye the first round.
So he's coming in fresh.
He's completely fresh. And I win my match. I walk off the match, and I go to the bathroom. When I come out of the bathroom, they're like saying, "Where's Josh? Where's Josh Clopton?" And I'm like, "Dude, I just got, like, I'm still like breathing hard and stuff."
Right.
And then Paulo's just like fresh, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I tried to protest. It's like, nah, he just got a bye. I just like, you guys gotta give me a minute. And they're like, "You're gonna be disqualified if you don't grapple right now." And so I was like, okay. I went out there, and and I was surprised, like, he was in a wrestle with me, right? And he was, like, in a wrestling stance, and he, like, yeah, like...
So he didn't just sit back?
He just did, not at first, right?
Okay.
He come out, and we're gonna, like, wrestle or whatever. But, like, he touched me or something, like, put his hand on my head, and, like, I didn't move. Like, I was, like... I think he, like, kind of realized, like... this is a legit wrestler,
right?
And then he set to his butt.
Yeah, of course he did.
and then their guard is so open that, and I didn't know Paulo at the time. The night before, I watched the guys in our bracket. I watched who all was there. I watched videos. That's when I learned about Paulo. And then I remember watching his videos, and I was like, oh shit, this is going to be the guy to beat in this bracket. Jiao was in the bracket too, but I knew Jiao, but I didn't know Paulo. And but anyway, I didn't really know much about him. And I remember trying to pass his guard, thinking like, I'm just going to knee slice up this, And I tried to knee slice, and it was just like his legs would just come from weird angles back
Was
down
he
to you.
inverting and trying to take your back?
Yeah, he did take my back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took my back, and he slapped on an armbar,
Mm-hmm.
full on armbar, and I was like, oh shit! Like it happened quick, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
like he just taken my back, right, and then all of a sudden his legs were right there. Like
Yeah.
I'd never felt anybody that could like have that dexterity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I hitchhiked out of it. I escaped, and you know, then I was on bottom. I was playing on bottom and stuff, and yeah, I ended up he beat me by points, but yeah, an interesting match against him
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
You know, he certainly has a lot of, tournament experience.
Yeah, for sure.
He has, you know, I would say over 200, um, you know, tournament jiu-jitsu matches. Uh, I think that 199 wins or something like that. I mean, he has a huge amount of mat experience. And a lot of his wins come by virtue of points. I mean, he does point people out. Sometimes they're super low scoring matches wherein he even wins by advantage.
Yeah, those guys know how to play the rule set, whatever tournament they're competing in, and they're really good at knowing the rules and playing to them.
Yep.
Like for instance, I watch those guys like in IBJJF or whatever. They'll get caught in a heel hook, and they just roll off the mat. Right, that's all they're trying to do is just roll off the mat because they know that it'll be reset standing.
It'll be reset standing, and so long as you don't show that you're in trouble, that you're just, essentially trying to get out of that, move. So you're not really fighting the submission so much as you're just trying to get out of that position. There's no advantage there either. So, yeah, they're just trying to get to the point where yeah, they're off the mat and, they can start standing up and then just sit back down and hope to get to 50-50, which seems like where he likes to live. That place that he likes to be at is in that 50-50 position.
Paulo, what he does is, I'm not really sure. There might be like some terminology for it with the gi, but what he does is from bottom, he likes to go. I guess it would be. I know Lachlan Giles does it too. He likes to go like kind of get inverted for the far leg, and it ends up in being in almost like what would be like a reverse single leg X, and what he tries to do is invert underneath you, and then he comes up to a body lock from like off his back, and he climbs up.
Yep.
To a to take your back,
Right.
or the guy will like try to roll or something, he'll end up on top in a sweep. It's really slick how he does it, but that's like his game. Like he does that every single match. It's the same thing.
And you don't have to be standing either. You could be, his opponent could be 50-50 or could be on his knees, and he will try to, from any position, he'll try to get there and then climb up your back. I mean, he'll start like super low where he's basically, face to taint, and he'll start working his way up your back, however disturbing the visual is.
Right. And their arms are so long and their legs, like they can get that body lock from like weird positions. And then once they lock in, it's like, it's hard to shake them off of that,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of their game plan for that. He's facing Gio Martinez, and this is October 2nd.
Right.
So it's coming up. And their match is going to be 15 minutes, sub only, going to a judge's decision if there's no submission.
So that's good. I'm glad that that's the rule set. I mean, that'll make it a much more exciting. I mean, figure if they would have allowed points, you know, that wouldn't have been a good, you know, setup for Gio. And it could have made for a pretty boring matchup. I mean, in my opinion, it just I wouldn't have been very excited to see that. But since it is going to be a sub only match, I mean, I think that might favor Gio. I think in terms of who is a much more exciting jiu-jitsu player, I think Gio is an exciting jiu-jitsu player. I don't think he has as much mat experience as Paulo. I think that Gio altogether probably doesn't have total matches like. I think that Yao has something like 77 wins by submission, and I don't even think that Gio has that many matches altogether.
Wow. Yeah. Gio, I mean, I don't know. I may be wrong about this, but it seems like most times you see him now, it's in a super match or whatever, or EBI or whatever, and it's usually no points, right? So that's kind of
the rules favor him.
That's kind of his game.
So, and these are EBI?
No overtime.
No, EBI matches.
Yeah, for Gio, what he usually does. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you see. I mean, I think he still competes and I think he was in ADCC. I don't think last year, but the time before. He might. I don't remember. I don't think he was last year, but. Yeah, I think for him, he's used to doing the sub only. What I noticed with Gio a lot is from top, what he likes to do, like if he can't pass or whatever, he's trying to get control of an ankle, and he goes for like a single leg X, right? So if you have the ankle on one side, right, and your knees in the middle, and then the other leg's kind of wrapped around, so he's in a single leg X. Then he controls the other leg on the other side of his body, so he's got both of your legs controlled, one here, one here. And what he tries to do is, while he has the other leg controlled, not the submission leg, he's just preventing you from escaping.
Right.
And he's trying to work back to a heel hook, right? He does this over and over and over. Honestly, I feel like, and I haven't seen Gio in recently. I think the last one that I seen him was against Paulo in 2018. I think that style of leg locks is now antiquated. I think it's evolved since then. So it's going to be interesting to see how his leg lock game has evolved. Most people are, I feel like, not going for outside heel hooks anymore. Right now, it's more. What the hell is that? There's ghosts in here.
Yeah.
That's all right. It just kind of fell down.
Oh, okay. So it's not an earthquake.
It's not an earthquake. No.
Good.
I don't think. So most people, I feel like are doing away without that outside heel hook, and it's becoming now more of like this Lachlan Giles 80-20 inside heel hook type thing. So I'm interested to see if Gio's game how it's evolved.
So they're taking it from this side, right? And then they're bringing it across the body.
Yeah, so it's going to be like a 50-50 leg lock versus the leg on the outside, and you don't even have your legs wrapped around. It's like a single leg X.
Yeah.
Or even, the honey hole or the saddle or whatever you want to call it. Even that, for me, I think is becoming a little antiquated.
Right.
People are evolving past that. So I think this match we're going to see like a little bit of the evolution of the leg locks, and with Nicky Ryan too against Tony Ramos. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
I think it's going to be a really interesting match. I always felt personally that Gio needed to kind of step outside of that EBI sort of comfort zone, where the rule sets really were kind of tailored for him. So the fact that he's, doing something different and that he's considering. I mean, is he considering doing ADCC this year
I don't
for
know.
2021?
I would imagine. Yeah, he's gonna do trials and stuff.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, it's just for me. I mean, I think it's a terrible waste of talent to sort of like kind of limit yourself to one specific outfit that caters to your style of jiu-jitsu to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I like the points. I like ADCC rule set the best. I think they all should do that because the first half of the match is no points, and then the second half is points. But yeah, this will be exciting, and then Tony Ramos and Nicky Ryan. It's gonna be interesting to see how Tony stays away from the leg locks. If he can stay away from the leg locks.
Right. It's interesting because I feel like the interest in this match has sort of evolved from when it was first announced, up until like even now. I feel almost as if it's a predetermined conclusion what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I think that almost the excitement, is sort of worn away to some degree. I mean, I certainly hope that it does end up being an exciting match.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it would be great for Nicky to just go in there and just tap him out real quick, collect the check, and go home. But for the folks who were, to some degree, wanting to see what Ramos has in his back pocket, I mean, I think that would have been a really good,
Yeah. Yeah, I think so I think what Ramos has got to do, and he can do it, okay, is how so what he needs to do is first of all, he needs to be drilling and just practicing clearing his knee line anytime Nicky grabs his leg. And wrestlers they're familiar with like the knee line battle, right? So he needs to just constantly be clearing his knee line, even if he has to go to his back for a second, because once he gets that knee line free, he's going to be able to scramble up to his feet, right? And there's not going to be like Nicky's on top of him, right?
I don't imagine that Nicky's going to be able to hold him down.
No. And what he needs to do is if Nicky stands with him, he needs to just take him down and kind of stall him out, like just stay on top, back away. I think Tony Ramos needs to he needs to be watching Ruben Charles Cabrera and use his style, because what Cabrini do, he's a badass wrestler. He just doesn't get put on his back. He'll always like if he's about to get swept or whatever, he's always able to scramble back up on top, and he just kind of stays out of danger, and he kind of rides it out a little bit. I think that's the style that Ramos can do, and I think that's what he needs to do to beat Nicky.
But it's submission only?
Yeah, but so it's submission only, but if there's no submission, it goes to a judge's decision, right?
Got it.
So if he can just control Nicky like that, like be like shucking him off and like being dominant and like taking him down and staying out of problems, like I think that's the best we could hope for from him.
Right.
It's not likely he's going to submit Nicky, right?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I think that going into it, the way that the rules are set up, they're set up in such a way that, and what I'm hearing is the best that we could hope for is going into a draw at the end, and then hoping that the judge will, who put together this match for him?
I don't know. It was an interesting matchup.
It really is an interesting. I mean, I like the matchup. I just don't like the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. If they would have gave points, it would have been better.
I think so. It would have made it a much more exciting, match. Because then at the very least, you'll have, a situation where, Nicky might feel oh, I've gotten taken down half a dozen times.
Yeah.
I probably should do something.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, where I almost feel like, realistically speaking, he can just kind of kick back and just wait for, Ramos to make a mistake while he's trying to hold position on top.
I mean, that is true, but anytime you grapple with those high level wrestlers, it's a battle. I mean,
Right.
I think Nicky has a tall order too. I mean, could you
Yeah.
imagine like somebody told me right now, like, okay, you got to grapple Travis Lee and you got to tap him out in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Go. That's a
That's a tall
that's a
order.
tall
Yeah.
order, and that's the level Tony Ramos is on.
Right. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're sort of not, realize. I mean, Ramos could grab a hold of a limb and just crank too.
Good. He's got headlocks, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wrestlers are good at headlocks. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do lots of different things. I mean, they do lots of different things in order to expose the opponent's back. They do, crank on arms, limbs. I mean, so, there's certainly things that he could, probably do. I'm just hoping that, we see that and that we don't see the sort of match wherein, Nicky is just sort of like kicking back and waiting for something to present itself, because that's not the sort of match that I'm assuming people are going to be wanting to,
Yeah.
tune in to see.
No, I don't think so.